What I can say is this: I wasn't there, no one was there except for the two people to know exactly what happened.
Comedian Bill Cosby is out on bail today, and for the first time, he's now charged with crimes stemming from a 2004 case.
You'll imagine building one of the most iconic, groundbreaking shows in television history only for it to be completely erased. Not because of ratings, not because of creative failure, but because the man behind it all became a walking scandal. From praised father figure to convicted predator, how did America's favorite dad turn into one of the most controversial figures in pop culture history? Baby, grab your tea because the truth behind The Cosby Show's downfall is messier than you ever thought. And it all started with a picture-perfect lie. When The Cosby Show first aired on September 20, 1984, it was like a cultural reset. At a time when black families were constantly misrepresented in the media, this show stepped in with the Huxtables, an upper-middle-class African-American family living in Brooklyn, New York. Cliff Huxtable was a respected doctor. Claire was a fierce lawyer, and together they raised 5 kids in a home filled with love, education, and relatable chaos. Bill Cosby created the show based on his own life and comedy. He wanted to give black families something to see themselves in, minus the struggle and the stereotypes. For once, America was watching a black family thrive, joke, cry, and teach values. And they couldn't get enough. The show dominated ratings for 5 years straight, tied only with All in the Family for that achievement. It didn't just entertain, it educated, inspired, and literally shifted how people viewed race and class in America. It was the blueprint for wholesome sitcoms with meaning. And at the center of it all, Bill Cosby, the man, the myth, the legend, or so we thought. But let's be real, nothing that calculated ever happens without a plan. Cosby didn't just want a hit show. He wanted control. From the casting to the set design, everything had to reflect his vision. He made the family wealthier than originally planned, swapping out a working-class background for a doctor-lawyer duo, which wasn't typical on TV, especially for a black family. But Cosby wanted to change minds and reshape narratives, and it worked at first. Behind the scenes, though, the control got intense. Cosby allegedly micromanaged scripts, performances, and even off-screen behavior. It was his empire, and no one, not even the cast, could shake that. Let's not forget the cast was fire. Felicia Rashad as Claire was elegance and power personified. Lisa Bonet brought cool girl energy as Denise. Theo, Vanessa, Rudy, each kid brought something unique. But the warmth we saw on camera didn't always translate off-screen. Rumors of tension started early, especially between Cosby and Lisa Bonet. When she stepped outside the show's clean image and took on a more provocative role in Angel Heart, Cosby wasn't having it. She was temporarily cut and later pushed out for good. And that's when fans started noticing, maybe the show wasn't as squeaky clean as it looked. But this was just the surface. What came next would flip everything upside down, not just for the cast, but for Cosby's entire legacy. As the seasons rolled on, The Cosby Show became more than just a sitcom. It became a brand. It launched spin-offs, dominated award shows, and made Bill Cosby one of the most trusted figures in America. But behind that cardigan and those corny dad jokes was a man with secrets. And honey, those secrets were about to burst out. It all started with a joke. One joke that destroyed everything. In 2014, comedian Hannibal Buress got on stage in Philadelphia and said it plain, "Yeah, but you raped women, Bill Cosby." So, turn the crazy down a couple notches. He called Cosby a hypocrite, mocking how he lectured black youth about morality while having dozens of skeletons in his closet. The audience was stunned. But when the clip hit the internet, it blew all the way up. People who had heard whispers before were now paying attention, and almost immediately, "This was not the man that I knew. This is not the man that I worked with. He may have had other faults, but he certainly was not drugging people." And then it began. Women came forward. First a few, then dozens. Their stories weren't vague. They were detailed, disturbing, and eerily similar. Cosby allegedly drugged them, assaulted them, then made sure they stayed quiet. It didn't matter how beloved he once was. The second these allegations went mainstream, the industry slammed the door shut. Networks like TV Land, Bounce TV, and Bet pulled The Cosby Show off the air. Syndication deals were cancelled. Streaming platforms started distancing themselves. And it wasn't just TV, institutions stripped Cosby of honorary degrees. Awards he once proudly displayed were revoked. Brands that once praised him wanted nothing to do with his name. Just like that, the legacy he spent decades building began crumbling in real time. Then came the legal firestorm. In 2015, Cosby was charged with aggravated indecent assault based on allegations from Andrea Constand, a former Temple University employee. His first trial in 2017 ended in a hung jury. But the retrial in 2018, guilty. Cosby was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in a Pennsylvania state prison. And the image of America's favorite TV dad in handcuffs, in a jumpsuit, was burned into the world's memory. But the craziest part? Even that wasn't the end. Just when the world thought the Cosby chapter was closed forever, boom. Cosby was released from prison just within the last few hours. His legal team addressed reporters, but he himself did not speak. In 2021, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned Bill Cosby's conviction. Like, what? After barely serving 3 years, the man once labeled a predator was released on a legal technicality. It wasn't that he was declared innocent. It was that a past deal with a prosecutor meant he never should have been charged in the first place. Cue the chaos. The public was stunned. Protesters flooded the streets. Survivors were devastated. Celebrities spoke out. It felt like a slap in the face to everyone who had come forward, shared their trauma, and watched justice finally being served, only to see it snatched away. It wasn't just about Cosby walking free. It was about what that freedom represented. The moment news broke, Twitter was in flames. Hashtags exploded. News anchors scrambled. Everyone had something to say, and everyone had questions. Would he go back to performing? Would networks welcome him back? Would the Cosby Show be revived? But the bigger question, was America really ready to forgive Bill Cosby? Cosby himself didn't stay quiet for long. He posted a photo on social media flashing that same smug smile he wore during his trial. In interviews, he maintained his innocence, claiming he'd been railroaded by the justice system. But let's be real, the court of public opinion wasn't buying it. Then came the most uncomfortable part, the cast. The people who played his fictional family for nearly a decade suddenly had to face the real-life monster behind the scenes. Felicia Rashad, the beloved Claire Huxtable, shocked fans when she tweeted her support for Cosby's release, calling it a correction of a miscarriage of justice. Chilly. The backlash was instant. Fans called her out for defending a man accused by over 60 women. Rashad later walked it back, releasing a statement expressing support for survivors, but the damage was done. Her once wholesome image took a hit. Malcolm Jamal Warner, who played Theo, was more measured. He acknowledged Cosby's impact on his life and career but made it clear the allegations had permanently tainted the show's legacy. "It's complicated," he said in an interview. And honestly, that's the only way to describe it. Keisha Knight Pulliam, who played Rudy, also found herself in a difficult spot. She'd often spoken about Cosby as a mentor and father figure, but after the accusations, her tone shifted. While she never fully condemned him, she expressed heartbreak over the situation and emphasized her support for survivors. For someone who grew up under his wing, the betrayal hit differently. Lisa Bonet, Baby. She had long since distanced herself from Cosby and the show. Even before the allegations, their relationship was rocky. And when the scandal broke, she stayed silent, which spoke volumes. But years later, sources say she privately expressed feeling vindicated, as if the truth she sensed all along had finally been exposed. At this point, there was no going back. The Cosby Show may still be available on a few niche streaming platforms, but its days as a beloved classic were officially over. What was once hailed as a symbol of black excellence was now tangled in a web of deceit, pain, and irreversible damage. And yet, some people still defended him. Some fans still clung to the nostalgia. And Cosby, he started hinting at a comeback. Yes, seriously. But before we talk about that, let's get into what happened to the cast after the show ended, because their journeys post-Cosby are a roller coaster of success, setbacks, and serious tea. Let's start with Felicia Rashad. After years of being the poised, iconic Claire Huxtable, Felicia tried to keep that same energy in her real life.